Hey, what's going on, everybody? So today we're going to talk about my Sorc and an idea that I had to kind of do a mini series on not all of the other classes, but most of the other classes. I'm going to take those classes and I'm going to try and figure out how I can get to the closest that I could get to being equal to the basically the default Sorc build that you can go through most of the content in of the game with. And what I mean is, like, I've went to other channels and people have come into my channel and they're like, what is something that I could do that is extremely easy to run through most of the content of Elder Scrolls that I could just work towards as a new player? And in other channels as well as my own, I've seen people say, go for the Oaken Soul Ring, equip a lightning staff, make a Sorc. That's the way you want to go with your armors and different things. You want to go for where is it? The Sergeant. So you want to equip 5 pieces of the Sergeant. You want to equip a lightning staff. You want to you want your class to be a Sorc because of the abilities, and then you equip the Oaken Soul Ring, and then there you go. You're going to have a character that can go through most of the content. Like, this character literally is a world boss killer. Now, me personally, what I did was 1 piece of Valken Scoria, so I bumped up my offensive penetration. And then I did 5 pieces of Shattered Fate, so I got that 79-18 offensive penetration on top of that. So we're looking at 42-32 spell damage with 42.7% spell critical, and then 12.9 penetration. I noticed that penetration, out of all of the other characteristics of this game, that was the best way to go. We're getting a lot of damage out of this character. And that explosion, that's why they tell you to run the lightning staff. But then we have our regenerative ward shield. We have unstable wall of storms. You cast that on the ground. You can cast that again before it ends to make it explode early, or just leave it on the ground. When it ends, it will explode. Then you have the crit surge, so whenever you crit, you heal. But then the regenerative ward is also healing you every time you cast it. And then the bound Aegis with the blinding flare. And then I'm running power overload because holy crap, do I get so much damage so quick out of this ability, and it costs so little ultimate to cast it. So, like, if you're in an emergency situation, you need to put out a lot of damage pretty quickly, like in PvP, for example, is a really good example. Obviously, people are going to argue with me about running this type of build in PvP, but I've had a lot of really easy fights within PvP with this build as well. So it really is like you can use this for most content in this game. For the other classes, not so much. But I'm still going to make an effort to try and make the other classes as easy as possible. That's the whole idea. So I'm starting with the Sorc. I'm showing you guys the baseline of what the future videos with the other classes, why I chose to do those classes the way that I did them. It's based off of the concept of trying to make this character right here basically one of the meta things that you can do in this game. The Sorc with the Oaken Soul Ring, the Lightning Staff, and 5 pieces of Sergeant's Mail. You're going to have a really easy time running through most of the game by just doing that. And then for me personally, I put Shattered Fate on. There are people that run other stuff. There are other 1-bar Sorcs out there. You could look those up as well if you want to. But this is how I do my character. So I cast this, throw that up, drop that on the ground. Heavy attack, drop that on the ground again. The other 2 abilities, the Bound Aegis and the Blinding Flare, I only cast those in PvP. The Blinding Flare is going to reveal stealth enemies. And then our ultimate, look at all this damage I'm doing. On average, it's about 46 to 48,000 damage. Sometimes I'm seeing 50s with this ultimate. And you can get this back really super easily and really super quick once it eventually runs out. And then you can stop casting that, and you can still cast these 3 abilities while your ultimate is still going. It's pretty freaking gnarly. So as you can see, I already have my ultimate back again. I could cast it now. I wait a little while, let it build up for a bit so I can cast it for long periods of time. But yeah, that's the idea for the Sorc. This is what I run in most content. I mean, I have an easy time doing everything. Overland bosses, PvP, all that stuff. The more experienced PvP players are going to kill you, but that's not the concept of this whole idea. This whole idea is a starting baseline that's going to get new players through most of the content, but they're not all going to like the Sorc. They're not all going to like the Lightning Staff. So I'm going to explore other classes and build them as close as I can possibly get to this character here. That's the whole idea. But I wanted to show you guys this character first, so in the next episodes you know what I'm basing, what armors I chose, what skills I chose, all that stuff, what I'm basing that off of with this character. So in the end, you start on a new character, or you're a new player in this game. You're going to want to do scrying. You're going to at least want to get scrying high enough to where you can farm for the Oakensoul ring, because you're going to want to get that. So go to Skyrim, up here, go and get the starter item to start scrying, and grind that out, and then get your character to max so you can equip the most powerful armors. And like I said, Shattered Fate, kind of like something you can put something else there if you want to, but 100% you do want 5 pieces of Sergeant's Mail. You want to farm for that. You want 5 pieces of that on your character with Lightning Staff, Sorc class with these abilities here. I've just had an easy time with this character over all of the other characters that I've messed around with and tried to make. This character just super easy to do and super easy to run, especially new players. This is the one that most people are going to recommend to you over anything else, unless you want to concentrate 100% on PvP. Some people are going to have good luck with this build, like I have. Other people are not. That's just the way it is. Overall, we're just trying to build a character that's just easy for everybody to grind to, an easy place for people to start out the game, and also classes that you could probably stick with throughout most of the game. You might just, as you go along, have to build a secondary build eventually for PvP Cyrodiil and stuff like that. But like Maelstrom Marina, I've ran this character through there, had no issues at all getting through that. Pretty much, this is also your definitive solo runs build character. And so that's why I'm like, is this going to cover every aspect of this game? Of course not. You're going to have multiple builds. That's just the way it is. But is this going to be able to cover most content? Yes. And so that leads me on this quest that I want to put myself on, where can I get the other classes to where you can run most of the content, at least with those classes as well, based off the idea, the concept of this build right here. So that's what you're going to see from me in the future. It's going to be kind of like a mini series where I try my best to come up with the very best builds you guys can run that will be as close to equal as I can get. Some of them are going to be not so great, but I'm still going to share them with you guys anyway, so you guys have a baseline to go off of. Maybe you guys could discover something different and something more useful than what I can find. But yeah, it's just going to be like mostly a theory craft thing. Don't take it seriously or anything. But give it a try. Maybe you'll find something that's better. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. Hopefully you guys found this informative, and I'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Laters.